I recently received a question. It was posted to my, what do you call that? It's not a wall, like on Facebook. It's just, I guess, your main page, your profile, where it shows your videos, and then it has, like, profile comments. And this question is from Airmar27. And he asks, I have a question for you. Why are you trying so hard to find answers? I mean, the best things in life don't have answers, and that's the best part of life. Why not make a video where you give answers? Tell us what you think other than to keep asking. Well, I think that's a fantastic question, because it really, this question really delves deep into my personal philosophy, which is that I don't really assert assumptions, or I don't assert truth on anything. Okay. I read here, it's my notebook, by the way, filled with wonderful poetry and writing and whatnot. You say the best things in life don't have answers. Well, that's an assertion you've made, right? That's an absolute statement right there. So I might say, you know, this is white, okay? But someone who has perceptual deficits or higher perceptual abilities, it's better to say, I think, alternative perceptual abilities rather than higher or lower, might see it differently. Dogs don't see in color necessarily. They would see this as white, but they would not see the blue on this pencil, and maybe you can't either. I don't know. That's the best part of life. I mean, the best things I've done, and that's the best part of life. Yeah. So those are two assertions that you make. They're assumptions that you hold to be true, but not everyone does, right? So if I were to say this is, or I am, those are absolute statements, and they, by definition, apply to everything and everyone. And I can't do that, right? I'm a relative observer. Everything I see, everything I perceive is subjective. It's open to significant degrees of interpretation. So anything absolute that comes out of my mouth as an observer is not truth and is incorrect. And that's why I don't give answers, because I don't have any. I don't think anyone does. Maybe, right? And that's why I don't do that. Anything I do say is in my relative scope of existence. So if I were to make an absolute statement, it would be a relative absolute statement, which doesn't make sense because then it would be relative. So, but to satisfy your question, I will say some things, and I have some books here. I don't open up my personal library, just to just anyone, which now I guess is no longer true because I'm opening it up to many people. But I think this book, The Virtue of Selfishness by Ayn Rand, this introduces her philosophy of objectivism, and I think it's worth studying. It's mainly about how self-interest is the way to go. Look into that. That's what I think. I think this guy, Robert Anton Wilson, he wrote this book, Prometheus Rison. I think he's interesting, and he's more in line with my way of thinking, which I apply agnosticism to everything, not just to like a view of God or some religious point of view. And he talks about that a bit in this book, maybe more so in others. This is what I found right off the shelf. If I go into my closet, I could probably find a box with it in there. DMT, the Spirit Molecule, by Dr. Rick Strassman. This book really speaks to the nature of our existence. and how we perceive the world. DMT is possibly a naturally occurring compound within our bodies and many other animals, and it's the most psychedelic compound known to man. Much, much more powerful than LSD. So the question that this book poses is, why is that in our bodies? Why do we have this very powerful hallucinogenic compound in our body? Right? Why isn't LSD in our body? And it's utilized by our brain at certain moments, just like neurotransmitters are utilized by our brain at certain moments, whether we have dopamine or serotonin or whatever. So this was interesting, and I really enjoyed this book, and I'm not really asserting a truth here, but I think that compounds, whether they're occurring naturally or naturally meaning within your own body, or if you take them, I think they're both valid forms of experience. So, personally, I prefer naturally. I don't want to mess with my head. And then, lastly, okay, this is the Collected Works of Ken Wilber, Volume 1. Ken Wilber is a really, really interesting philosopher. I have not read this whole book. Go to integralnaked.org. I'll post a link. It's interesting stuff. I'm not really sure where exactly he lies. He's developed his own philosophy. He's a really smart guy. And it's more like, to me, he seems like a transcendentalist. I don't know if that's necessarily what he considers himself. All of his writing is really complex, so I have not been able to digest it all yet. But this is worth checking out too, and I think he might hold some answers. I don't, and I think that's the point of this video. So, I appreciate the question, and I don't want to do this video anymore.